So today I want to talk about domain DNS. So this is an important topic, especially in this modern world with everything going to cloud services and internet-based services and all that kind of stuff. Basically how to manage your DNS up on the web. So you buy a domain name, and then the question is how do we then point that domain name to different web servers? So how does www.geekbraindump.com get to the Apache server that will provide you a website? When you email, reviews at geekbraindump.com, how do those emails get routed to the email server so that I actually receive them and can respond to them? So nowadays, domain DNS is a very important thing, and again, it's one of those things that's rather simple to deal with once you understand what's going on. So again, the big thing to remember whenever we're talking about DNS, what is DNS? DNS resolves domain names to IP addresses. So whether it's local DNS, whether it's web domain DNS, that is what we're doing. And so we just have to understand a little bit about how that process works in order to make domain DNS pretty easy to use. So let's go over to the computer so I can kind of show you what's going on with geekbraindump.com's DNS so you can get an idea. So if we go over to the computer now, you can see that this is, yes, I in fact do use GoDaddy. So this is my GoDaddy account, and I've opened up the information for geekbraindump.com. So these are the DNS settings just for geekbraindump.com. It's not for Eli the computer guy, it's not for tech-RSS, it's not for anything else, it's just for geekbraindump.com. So the important thing to realize whenever you're dealing with DNS on the web is remember that all the different web services that you use don't necessarily use the same service provider. So a lot of people, when they buy their hosting account, when they buy their domain name, when they buy their email services, when they buy all those services, they buy it from one provider. So they go to GoDaddy and they buy the domain name and the hosting and the email. And if you do that, then all of these settings are set up automatically and you don't have to worry about anything else. But you do have to realize that you can buy a domain name from GoDaddy, you can buy a hosting account from HostGator, and you can buy your email services directly from Microsoft. And that's where these DNS settings come in, because then you have to configure the domain name that you purchased through GoDaddy to be able to send the data to the traffic to those other web services. So here's the first page. So this is basic domain details right here. So it has the auto renew, basically whether or not you renew your domain name. Again, one of the things I would say if you're going to buy a domain name is always buy a domain name for 10 years. Your domain name, yourwhatever.com, is probably going to be about the most valuable thing that you own for your company, like literally, because that's your name, and especially in the modern world, and it's only going to get more that way. So a lot of people buy their domain names for only like a year or two, and that's just dumb. Again, my first domain name, starvinggeek.info, that I was very proud of, I lost it simply because I didn't realize I had to renew, and then literally one day after the expiration, somebody else came in and stole the damn thing. So I would say always make sure whenever you're buying domain names, buy it just for 10 years. It only costs $12 a year now, so 10 years is $120. Honestly, out of all the expenses you're going to deal with your business, $120 ain't piss. It ain't nothing. So if you're not willing to spend $120 on a domain name, then go do something else, because you shouldn't be in business. But anyways, you go down here, you can lock. Now here's the important thing to realize is the name server. So this is the big thing. So again, if you are hosting your website on GoDaddy server, so you're hosting it on the same place that you buy your domain name, you don't have to worry about changing these name servers. But like before, I used to have, so Eli the computer guy and a few other sites, the domain name was on GoDaddy, but then they pointed to a dedicated server over at 1and1.com. So what I had to do is at this name server here, I had to change these name servers to point to 1and1.com's name servers. So again, doesn't matter if you're hosting everything at one place, but if you're hosting these on different places, you have to set that up. So it was basically, I had to go over to 1and1.com. I had to tell 1and1.com I was using Eli the computer guy from a different DNS provider. That then plugged that into their name servers. Then I had to come over here to GoDaddy and change the name server configuration here from GoDaddy's name servers to 1&1's name servers. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Then you can do forwarding here. Forwarding is a nice little trick when you want to point your domain name to a different website without doing anything too complicated. So I could literally point geekbraindump.com to EliTheComputerGuy.com. Right? So this is what a lot of people do. Let's say you retire a domain name, right? So this is what I did with everymanit.com. So originally it was everymanit.com, and I switched everything over to EliTheComputerGuy.com. So what I did was, since everything was going over to EliTheComputerGuy.com, I forwarded everymanit.com to EliTheComputerGuy.com. So when you went to everymanit.com, you were automatically forwarded to EliTheComputerGuy.com. Therefore, I kept all the traffic coming in and didn't have to worry about any tedious problems. So that's what the forwarding is there. This is especially good, like say if you're going to change a domain name or you're retiring a domain name, then point the old domain name to the new one. The only thing with that is, remember, you still have to pay for the old domain name. So we go down here, premium DNS, that's kind of like an upsell here. DS records, host names, a lot of this I wouldn't normally worry about. If it comes up, learn about it. But the big ones up here is the name servers and the forwarding. So past that, then we can go to the DNS Zone File. So this is the super complicated, scary stuff that's really not that bad. And so there's a few things going on here. So the first thing is your A record, so your A host. This is very, 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 very important. So basically this little ampersand, is it whatever the hell this is, the A symbol, what this, you point this to is you point this to the specific IP address of your server for this domain. So geekbraindump.com should resolve to 208.109.108.14. So if somebody pings, not www, just geekbraindump.com, that should resolve to this IP address. So this is normally where you put your web server, but you know, again, with everything, it could be a little different. But normally, so 208.109.108.14, this is the actual web server for geekbraindump.com, right? So that's the thing. And so what you do is this little @ symbol, you point to there. So that means if somebody plugs in to a URL, to an address bar, simply geekbraindump.com, they will get pointed here. If they ping geekbraindump.com, they will get pointed here, so on and so forth. Now you come down and you start looking at the C names, the aliases. So calendar.geekbraindump.com, email.geekbraindump.com, fax.geekbraindump.com, and the one you know, www.geekbraindump.com. So www is a C name or an alias. So within here, the points to, you can't point to an IP address. You actually have to point to a domain name or to the A record. So you'll notice FTP points to the A record, which is this, which is 208.109.108.14. www points to the A record, which happens to be 208.109.108.14. The important thing to understand with this, though, is you theoretically could point these at other things. You could point FTP to ftp.eliTheComputerGuy.com, and it would go off in a different direction. Or even www, you could point that at something else entirely. So in here is where you plug in the domain names for other services. So you'll see I use Gmail for our email services, so mail.geekbraindump.com gets pointed to ghs.google.com. Again, they have all this different stuff in here. So these are the C name records that you need to deal with. Then past that, we go down and we take a look at the mail exchange records. The MX records are the other important record to be thinking about whenever you're managing your domain. So the mail exchange record, this says where is SMTP traffic going to get sent to? So where is your email traffic going to get sent to? Now the cool thing with MX records is you can have multiple MX records. So basically what this means is you can have multiple email servers that when email gets sent, if it doesn't get to one email server, it will go to a different email server, a different email server, different email servers. So here I have, what do I have? I have 5 different email servers, and so it comes in to the highest priority, so that's actually 10 here. And so first it tries to get sent to aspmx.l.google.com. If for some reason that does not accept the email, it then goes up to the 20, the alt1.aspmx.l.google.com. If that doesn't work for some reason, it goes to 30. If that doesn't reason, it goes to 40. That doesn't work, it goes to 50. So in here, as far as priorities go, it goes to the lowest number first. So number 1 has the highest priority, like number 99 has the lowest priority. So here, the first server it's going to try to go to is aspmx.l.google.com. If it doesn't work there, it'll go to the next, it'll go to the next, it'll go to the next, it'll go to the next. So these are the MX records. Now, generally, whenever you're setting up the MX records, whenever you're using anybody's email services, they will give you multiple servers that you can point to, again, to make sure that if this one server is down, you don't have any other problems. The one thing, though, is if you're running your own Exchange server, if you're running your own email servers, you may only have one record here for the MX. So this may point to your server that is sitting on your premises. The one thing you have to realize there is if for some reason, if the email can't get to that one server, then it will fail out entirely and it will get bounced back and the person will say that you can't receive an email. So that's what's going on with those MX records. We go down here and we do text. I personally have never messed with text and service records, and then this is the name servers. But the main things that you have to worry about is this is your A record. Your A record should point to the main server, the main web server for your domain. So again, geekbraindump.com points to 208.109.108.14. Your C names then either point to the A record or they point to a different domain name. And then your MX records, they point to your mail servers. And that's basically really all there is to the Internet DNS stuff. Again, this is one of those things that you just, you have to play with in order to be comfortable. But, once you get used to it, it's not a bad thing. The big thing that I will say, you will be tested on this, is remember, when you make changes to the DNS records, those changes have to be replicated out through all the DNS servers. So this is not one of those settings where you hit save and it will immediately start working. Once you hit save, that then has to get replicated out all over the world, right? And so it's very important whenever you're making modifications to the DNS that you do it right, or you do it as right as you think, because basically what has to happen is once you hit save, then you go have a cup of coffee, and then you have lunch. And basically, nowadays is a lot faster. It used to take like 24 hours to replicate. Nowadays, it takes about an hour to replicate. But it really is. Like, once you change your settings to DNS, you need to go have lunch, and then come back, and then see if everything is working properly. That is one thing that I see with noobs where they run into real problems with DNS, is they make changes, they hit save, then they go to see if the changes took effect, and then they aren't seeing what they expect to see, and then they go back and they change it again, and they're running back and forth, and it's like, you're not giving it enough time to replicate. It needs at least an hour to replicate all this data out. Again, theoretically, it can take up to 24 hours, but at least 1 hour. But that's what you need to know for your domain, your web domain DNS settings. Again, a very, very, very useful tool, and especially something very important now. Veeam.com, Veeam.com. If you just virtualized 100 servers and now you're trying to figure out how to back them up, they have solutions for ESXi, they have solutions for Hyper-V, and as you guys like, they have free stuff. So if you are dealing with a virtualized environment and you're trying to figure out a backup solution, take a look at Veeam.com. NerdsWeCanFixThat.com. If you're thinking about starting your own computer services company, but you don't want to have to worry about coming up with a logo and copyright and trademark and all of those kinds of things, you may think about buying into a computer services franchise system. Nerds We Can Fix That is a computer services franchise system. They have 62 franchises throughout the United States. They can franchise in every state other than Hawaii. They also franchise internationally. If you're thinking about starting your own computer services company, you should contact them, fill out the information below, or give them a call. Again, as I will say, franchise systems are great for a lot of people, not so good good for others. Always make sure to do your due diligence, but if you're thinking about starting a computer services company anyway, you might as well contact Nerds We Can Fix That to see what they have to say. Altaro.com, Altaro.com, if you're dealing with virtualization in a Hyper-V environment. So we're talking about Windows Server 2008 R2, 2012, and 2012 R2. Take a look at Altaro.com. They have a number of Hyper-V backup solutions. They have the free version, which will back up to 2 VMs for free forever. They also have the unlimited version, starting at only $400 per host. I think this is a very good value. So if you are dealing with Hyper-V virtualization and you need a backup solution, take a look at Altaro.com. Total Seminars, TotalSim.com. If you're looking for your A+, your Net+, your Security Plus certification, they have video training, practice test, exam vouchers, and more. If you are on the CompTIA track and you are looking for study prep material, study guides, that type of thing, take a look at Total Seminars, TotalSim.com, TotalSem.com. Spiceworks.com. These guys have the free network management software, the free mobile device management software, the free community with millions of users. So if you're an IT professional and you need support, Spiceworks is a great place to go. All of their stuff is basically free and just an absolutely great thing. Again, if you have any questions that I don't answer in the show that are technical in nature, we're talking about Active Directory synchronization between sites in remote areas. If you click on the link below this video, that will take you to the Spiceworks community. They have millions of users there that will be able to help you out. So take a look at Spiceworks.com. Plixer.com. Plixer deals with NetFlow analytics software. So NetFlow is a component of Cisco equipment that shows you what's going on at the network layer, what devices are talking to what other devices, what kind of network jitter, all of that kind of stuff. So Plixer has a free piece of software called Scrutinizer. Scrutinizer is a free NetFlow network traffic analysis tool. So if you want to play around with NetFlow, if you want to see what's going on with the network layer and you have Cisco equipment, take a look at Plixer.com. Click on the link below this video. It'll bring you to this page where you can download Scrutinizer, the free NetFlow network traffic analysis tool. Adaxes.com. If you're dealing with Active Directory on a large scale, so you have hundreds of users to add, hundreds of users to disable, so on and so forth, you may want to take a look at Adaxes.com. This is Active Directory management and automation software. So this tries to automate and simplify the Active Directory workflow. So if you are in a large scale Active Directory infrastructure, take a look at Adaxes.com. So the review for today is Boom Phones pocket speakers. So basically this is a Bluetooth pocket speaker, so you can connect this to your iPhone, your Android phone, your tablet, or whatever, and be able to listen to music. I like it a lot. It's a pretty good little speaker thing. If we go over here, we can take a look at my little demo area. And so we're talking about the size of these Boom phones. This is my Galaxy S4, and so you can see it's about the same size as the S4, probably about twice the width, and but about the same dimensions otherwise. The cool thing with the Boom phones is they actually put out music on both sides. So like a lot of these Bluetooth speakers, they'll only put out music on one side. So the thing with this is the idea is it's supposed to give you 360-degree sound. From what I can hear, the sound is good. I like the sound. Again, I'm Eli the computer guy. I'm not the Eli the music aficionado, but I found it to be good. It does have a microphone built into this thing, so you can use it as a speaker phone or whatnot. And I like it. Again, they have a little power button, sound up, sound down, Bluetooth connection. Now, if we go over to the computer, one of the things I can show you is what's kind of cool with this is that you can actually connect two of these Boom phones to one device at one time. So if you want to have more of like I don't know, like a studio, not a studio, but like an auditorium effect or whatever. So I think that's kind of cool, especially since the music comes out both sides. If you connect two of these to one device, I think that would push out a lot of sound, a lot of music. That seems like what a lot of the kids would like. If you can go and you can take a look, and they've got all kinds of different colors and all that, and they can tell you all the kinds of different information. Basically, you just go to boomphones.com. You will see they do come in again at the $99 price point, the $100 price point. Again, as I will say, for all of this, I think all of this mobile stuff is ridiculously priced, but within the ridiculousness of the price, that seems about appropriate, right? Everything seems to be $100 for mobile devices anymore. And what I can say is the battery length does seem to work well. The sound, as far as I was concerned, was good. It has a nice build quality to it. I'm not sure if it's technically waterproof. Probably not waterproof, but it's weather-ish resistant. I wouldn't leave it out in a rainstorm, but I mean, I definitely think you could drag it along with you and you'd be fine. So it seems like a good thing. So this is the Boom Phones pocket speaker. And if you're interested in a little pocket speaker, I would say you should definitely take a look at it. I think seems like a good thing to me. So this question comes from Diego F. Simple question. Which OS, I assume Linux-based, and virtualization software would you recommend to use on a host for virtualization? If I, for instance, want to virtualize in a single machine a free NAS, a CentOS with web applications, and another Linux distro, what should I use? Then again, freeware is always welcome, but I am no enemy to licensed software. So basically, this person is looking for a solution for a virtualized environment. He's willing to use free stuff. He's willing to use pay-for stuff. He's asking what is the best thing for this particular situation. The first thing that I have to say is remember that virtualization is not always a good option. So if you heard me reading this, one of the things should have really stuck out to you, one of these operating systems. He talked about free NAS. Now, if we're talking about CentOS and we're talking about another Linux distro and we're talking about Windows and all that kind of stuff, there's all kinds of options for virtualization. But when you talk about free NAS, remember, what is free NAS? Free NAS is basically a NAS, a network attached storage device, or it can be used as a SAN, a storage array network. So basically being able to store data. So generally, you would not virtualize free NAS. The only time I can imagine virtualizing free NAS is for like a lab environment where you have to do it for some reason. Like for me, I'm going to do some more classes on free NAS. And so in order to show you how to install it and configure it, I will try to do free NAS within a virtual environment on the Mac. But the only reason I'm doing that is so that I can use my screen capture software to show you what's going on. And that's about it. Like literally the only reason I would virtualize free NAS is because I have to use screen capture software that will only be able to capture stuff within a virtualized environment, if you kind of get what I'm saying. Otherwise, I would not do that. That's about the only reason I would do free NAS. So the first thing that I would say is don't virtualize free NAS. A NAS device is your storage device. You don't virtualize that. That's what I would say out front. Then you come to CentOS, and you come to Linux and Windows and all that other kind of stuff. Honestly, what I would suggest you do, really the best solution, is I would take a look at VMware's ESXi. So ESXi is the free hypervisor. They also have vSphere, which is the hypervisor manager, and they have a free version of that. So you can do it all for free. Now that is a bare metal hypervisor, so that gives you the least resource requirement on your system in order to keep it running. Also, since you don't really have a real host operating system, you have less of security vulnerabilities and everything else. So that is what I would go for. There's a lot of other bare metal hypervisors out there. There's Citrix and all that kind of stuff. But what I like about ESXi is it can use the local storage. So if you use Citrix, you actually have to create a storage pool or a storage device, and that turns into its own mess. So especially for a new person asking this question, I would think ESXi is the easiest thing. You go out, you download VMware ESXi, you install the hypervisor onto the server. Then you install the management software onto whatever computer you want to manage the server with, and then you figure it all out. It'll take you a day to figure out, but that is absolutely that is the best solution generally, unless there's another reason. So if you're going to virtualize the environment, I would say do ESXi, and then I would say do not virtualize free NAS unless you have some weird screwy ass reason. Because remember, with free NAS, at least the last version I used, the operating system can't be installed on the same drive as where you're actually going to store information. So you actually have to create multiple logical hard drives or virtual drives in order to FreeNAS to connect to. It's just a mess. So don't virtualize FreeNAS. Otherwise, I would say use ESXi. The next question is one of those questions. Dear Charles, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I saw your tutorial on YouTube and I need your help to resolve some problems I am facing with people hacking into my host, local server, and website hosting company and stealing information about my customers. My website, blah, 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 is like dead right now because all communications between me and new or old customers is literally phished and sent to other computers. I hope you can do something about this. What can you do to restore complete security of my emails and website communications with clients? What can I do? I can do a lot of things. I can do amazing things. I can do mind-blowing things for your security. What am I going to do? Sit here and laugh at you, obviously, of course. Remember, I'm not a consultant anymore. Again, if you actually, in fact, want to hire me, I am really expensive. I am expensive to the point I will make my hourly rate so expensive that you don't want to hire me, like starting at $1,000 an hour or something. Seriously, I like YouTube. I don't want to do consulting. So what am I going to do for you? Nothing. What you need to do for yourself, that is going to be the question. And so when you come to issues like this, I run into this a lot with the whole startup community where people build their businesses on the web and then they do it with duct tape and shoestring and not enough budget, and then they wonder why they get hacked to hell and back and everything goes to hell. So what you really need to do is you need a budget. That's a thing. You need to pull some money out of your pocket and you need to budget what security is worth to you and then go from there. So with most people, I mean, really what you need to do is you need to learn about what you should do. The most valuable thing for you to do is to learn about web security. So learn about firewalls, learn about hardening your operating system, learn about hardening your website, whatever it is you're doing, and go in and do all of that kind of stuff. That is what you should do, and that's a lot of stuff. I mean, that's why we get paid the big bucks, because that's not something I can answer in 3 minutes or 5 minutes, or I can fix in 10 minutes. I mean, that's a lot of things that you have to look at. So what you really should do is you should look at website hardening, server hardening, firewalls, all of that kind of stuff. Now, if you don't want to do that, you're like, Eli, I do something else. I'm not a geek. That's why I want to hire people like you. Well, then you should probably go out, and what I would say is you should take a look at services such as either Rackspace or even GoDaddy has managed servers now. So a lot of people don't realize that. Like a lot of these companies, right, way back in the day, you could simply buy shared hosting. That cost you $5 a month. And then after that, you could buy virtual private servers. And those were like kind of like crappy virtual servers. You can still buy them for like $30 a month. You got to configure them and futz with them. Performance sucked. Then you had dedicated servers. So dedicated servers is actually something that I use because I know what I'm doing, where you can go out and you can lease a server. So our server costs about $150 a month from GoDaddy. I am completely responsible for it, but I get a full server. Well, beyond that, they have what are called managed servers. So GoDaddy has managed servers, Rackspace has managed servers. A lot of these companies have managed servers. They're going to cost you a lot of money, but it's your business. What's more valuable, having your business up or the money, right? And so, like I say, I think with GoDaddy, if you go with their managed servers, like their minimum cost is like $350 or $400 per month. But what you get with that is they will fix these issues for you, at least within a certain realm. Basically, when you sign the contract, they'll tell you exactly what they're responsible for. But that's a nice thing. So not only are you renting that server, but you're also paying for that support. That's when we talk about paying for maintenance contract, paying for support contracts, that kind of stuff. That's why you pay that extra money. So if you have any problems, you just call these people up and you say, motherfucker, fix it now. This is why I'm paying you good money, right? So that's really what you need to do. I would say, again, I like GoDaddy. I don't have an issue with GoDaddy. GoDaddy has these managed servers. Again, like I say, they cost you like $350, $400 a month. I would say they're probably a good option for you. If you want to go for the higher touch, really nice Nordstrom or whatever version of managed servers, you can go with Rackspace. But Rackspace is going to cost you like $700 to $1,000 a month. But again, what you're paying for is you're paying for that support. When you have a problem, like you're talking about here, it means you can pick up the phone. They will deal with the firewalls. They will deal with the backup. They will deal with the security. They will deal with all that. And again, that's one thing with all these emails with people asking me for help. What you guys got to realize is this stuff costs money. Right? I mean, that's everybody wants everything for free, and so what you have to realize is when you were thinking about this, you have to budget. This is worth $500 a month to me. This is worth $30,000 a year to me. This is worth $200 a year to me. You have to figure out that budget. But what I would say for this is go with the managed servers, because again, then you pay them $400 a month, and then they just fix all of this and everything's easier. Beyond that, you would go for a consultant, like I say, if it was me back in the day, and then me back in the day was going to charge you $100 to $150 an hour. If you have a problem like this, you're talking about anywhere between 5 to 10 hours worth of work probably to clean it up. So you're talking about $1,000. So I would say just go with a managed server, GoDaddy or Rackspace. There are other ones out there, but those would be the ones I would probably recommend. Now this question comes from Nathan E. Just a quick question. I am 18 and I have knowledge of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and I'm in the middle of learning PHP. I'm just wondering, at what point are you able to get an entry job work experience? How much do you need to know, and how much experience do you need? Here's the thing. That's the question everybody has. They're like, Eli, how much knowledge do I need? And it's really sad because way back in the day, I swear to you, way back in the day, I actually had this guy contact me, and he had his master's degree in IT, he had his MCSE, and he had his CCNP, and he was like, what else can I do to get a job? It's like, dude, if you can't get a job with that, you need to go be a florist. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the important thing to understand is this business is all about confidence. It really is. The more confident you are, the more successful you will be. So if you are not confident in your abilities, you'll get a master's degree and an MCSE and a CCNP, and you'll still want to get something else because you're just not confident you're good enough. So what I would say, honestly, with what you have right here, start putting out resumes. What's the worst anybody is going to do? They're going to laugh at you and say no. But, you know, that's not the end of the world. You should get used to people laughing at you because they're going to laugh at you for the rest of your career. So what I would say is start putting out your resume right now. Again, as I talk about again and again and again and again, look at meetup.com. Find startup meetups in your area. Find PHP meetups in your area. Find JavaScript meetups in your area. Find HTML or CSS meetups in your area. Go to meetups. Go to those type of tech networking events, and just start handing out your card or just start talking to people. And then beyond that, just start putting out your resume. The point that you should put out your resume is the point that you feel comfortable putting out your resume. I mean, there's no scientific, there's no math, nothing like that. It's just when do you feel comfortable. So what I would say is if you know HTML, if you know CSS, if you know JavaScript, if you're learning PHP, start putting out your resumes right now. And because, yeah, I mean, what have you got to lose? I mean, that's what I would say. And the other thing to realize is, again, a lot of things take time in business. A lot of people don't realize that. Things take time. Like, I'm in a contract right now to have work done on my house. This contract started back in, like, December 20th, and it is now July 10th or something, and work probably won't start till August. So that's like 8 months, and that's for work I know I needed to get done, right? So that's one thing a lot of people don't realize, is it takes time for stuff to work through systems. So if you start putting out your resume now, here's the deal. Somebody may not hire you next week or next month or in 2 months, but your resume may start filtering through the process so that in 4 months or 5 months or 6 months, you might actually start getting calls back. So that's why you need to go out now, especially like I say, when you go out and start doing networking. When you start networking with people aren't going to hire you. I mean, unless you're brilliant, people aren't going to hire you today. It's not like you're going to go out to a PHP meetup and somebody's going to be like, I need a kid like you, you're hired. It's not how it works. You're going to go to a PHP meetup, and you're going to meet somebody. You're going to talk with them. And you're going to kind of like them, and they're going to kind of like you. And then you're not going to see them for like 2 months. And then you're going to go to JavaScript, and you're going to CS, and you're going to do all these other things. And then like 2 months later, you're going to run into that person, and they're going to be like, hey, what have you been up to? And you're being like, well, I've been going to all these other meetups, and I designed this app. Hey, look at this app. Isn't that kind of cool? And they'll be like, wow, that is kind of cool. You know, we were talking before. I actually own a company. Why don't you come over, and we'll discuss all this stuff? So that's what I would say, is just get out there now. It's one of those things, it's just going to take time anyway, so you might as well start now, and you will be surprised how successful you can be with how little information, I would say. That would be my thought. Go now and start networking and putting out resumes. That is your best bet. So the final thoughts for today. Oh my golly, my golly. The final thoughts for the day. So I have been getting all kinds of crap for my little Samsung Gear Live unboxing the other day. So I got this thing a couple of days ago and I unboxed it for you guys. And when I unboxed it, I had all kinds of problems with it. And I've actually learned to love it. I actually think it's a really great device. And we're going to do a review on it probably in the next few classes or whatever. It is a pain to get on the wrist though. But anyways, one of the funny parts that the responses that I got from doing the unboxing is basically when I did the unboxing, I did the unboxing live. Like I did some cutting and some splicing just to take out the 15 minutes of updates that I had to go through. But otherwise, I did it live as I unboxed it. I wanted to show you all the problems and all the quirks. And so one of the things that I want you guys to think about is a lot of people are laughing at me now. They're like, oh, when was the last time you used an Android device? Oh, Eli, you should really know what the hell you're doing. Oh, Eli, the computer guy. More like Eli, the stoopy head guy, right? But one of the reasons that I do the unboxings, the way that I do the unboxings, is I'm not trying to be, was it Marquis Brownlee, right? I'm not trying to be Soldier Who Knows Best. I'm not trying to do these clean, clear, awesome unboxings so you think all of these devices are sexy. What I'm trying to show you is, as a almost 38-year-old tech professional, how do you respond to the device as soon as you pull it out of the box? Right? Because think about that. When you go into the corporate world, right? When you give these devices to the CEOs, you're going to put the device on the CEO's desk and you're going to assume that the CEO or the manager is going to be able to deal with this device. And then what you're going to find out is, hey, that manager is really, really good at what they do and they're not really good at technology. And you're going to see this device go winging across the office as they start screaming. So one of the things I'm trying to show you guys is me when I pull this thing out of the box. How easy is it to interact with? How intuitive? Is it Apple friendly? Again, one of the things you have to say with Apple computers, right, or like the Apple tablets and the iPhone, is a 5-year-old can use one of these things. Like you can pull it out of the box and you can start using it within 3 seconds. So one of the questions is like when you get these Android devices, how hard is it? So when I was pressing on the thing and trying to give it voice instructions, I wasn't screwing around. It really was confusing to know, wait a minute, okay, I pressed it once. Wait a minute, now can I talk it now? Or no, do I have to press it again? Oh no, right? And so that's just one of the things that I really want you guys to think about, because a lot of people get all high and mighty, right? You know, all the 23-year-olds and all the 30-year-olds. Oh, I am so cool at tech. I can configure smartphones. And they come across the world as complete smartasses. And what I'm trying to show you guys is I really do. I have a Galaxy Samsung S4 that I've been using for over a year that I absolutely adore. I honestly believe it's better than an iPhone. But even having that Android phone for over a year, this thing was a bit of pain in the ass to originally configure. So again, like I say, when I pulled it out of the box, for whatever reason, Google Now wasn't working on my Android phone, my Galaxy S4, and therefore this wasn't communicating properly. So then I had to go in, do troubleshooting, and do all that kind of stuff. So what I'm trying to show you guys with all of these kinds of unboxings is how do real people respond to these devices? Because again, remember, we are the support for the corporation. We are the support for the end users. All the end user cares about is that at the end of the day that they can use the device effectively in order to make their lives easier. It doesn't matter whether you know how to use the device. It doesn't matter if you're a brainiac on the device. What matters is, can you translate that information to the end user? And so that's why I'm trying to show you with these unboxings and all that, what it's like for a real person. Because again, like I said, with like pushing this thing, pushing it, tapping it in order to talk to it. I mean, I am from the first generation of, you know, back, forward, uppercut, hoo-yah, from, you know, Street Fighter 2 and all that. You know, I'm used to all of these kind of weird keystrokes and stuff to get things to happen. And even with me, trying to figure out exactly when to touch the screen and when to stop touching the screen was a bit of a pain in the butt. So that's what I'll say. That's all I'll say. Again, I know you guys like to laugh at me. Apparently, it is good a sport to laugh at me. But do realize one of the reasons that I do these kind of unboxings is what I'm trying to show you guys is what is it like for a rather normal person to pull this thing out of the box, and what can you expect from the end user? Is it Apple easy to use, or is it something like this where it seems like it should be more intuitive than it is? That's my thought. And I do love this though. I do. Like, I finally got this thing to work. This is awesome, man. This is like cutting edge beautiful technology. It really is. Like, and the contextual thing works. You can say, you know, remind me to do something when you get to a place. So like today, I was just doing an experiment. So I said, remind me to buy coffee when I get to Starbucks. And literally, when I walked in the door of Starbucks, it said, buy coffee. So this is cool. This really is cool at the end of the day. But what I will say, and we'll do a review later. It was a pain. Oh my God! I almost threw this thing like into the pond. It was a pain in the ass to finally get set up. But there you go. So those are the final thoughts for the day. Just realize not everybody is as geeky smart as you. So just a reminder, geekbraindump.com keeps growing. I think we're up to about 124 authors now, and I don't know, 530, 540 posts. So people keep writing away. I did have a question today. One of the sponsors, we have a new sponsor that's going to be coming on board, was asking whether they or not they could write for geekbraindump.com. And what I told them, and what I'll tell you guys, is I want everybody to write for geekbraindump.com. So the idea is both the noobs can write for geekbraindump.com, sysadmins can write for geekbraindump.com, and the vendors. Because again, you know, a lot of people don't think about it, but vendors are a real part of our ecosystem, right? They are the ones that actually manufacture this equipment. They are the ones actually producing the software. So if you are a vendor, anything like that, yes, I am more than happy to have you write posts for us. Again, up here, you know, this cloud security problems, what can be done. This was actually written by the CEO of Plixer because he wants to talk more about cloud security and all that. So that's one of those things. Also, do remember Geek Brain Dump, the meetup is growing. We now have 87 members, geeks, and we have 25 people hopefully coming to our first shindig. And I am working right now on finding a restaurant. So we have a couple of people going out there, hopefully that will find us a restaurant so we can do this thing in the next week or two. And if they don't find us a restaurant, well, next week I will go out and start pounding the pavement to find us a restaurant. So one way or another, within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will have a restaurant, and we will actually do our first shindig. Again, that's one of the things I will tell you guys in the real world of business. You know, like I told you before about being a computer person, like you never are too senior not to run cable. In business, you are never too senior not to pound the pavement. So again, like I say, I have a couple of people that are trying to help me out with this, but if they can't find us a place, I will be out there knocking on restaurant and bar doors next week saying, hey, we need to do a meetup. Can we do it in our place? But very, 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 very happy about all the stuff going on with geekbraindump.com.